Well, sir, our scene is a peaceful one as we enter the small house halfway up the next block now. Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook and their son, Rush Gook, are spending a quiet evening at home. We find Vic established at the library table playing solitaire, Sade darning gentlemen's socks on the davenport, and Rush reading a storybook in the easy chair. And now a considerable silence is broken.
Oh, darn it.
What's the trouble, Dr. Sleech?
I just thought of something.
Don't tell me you left your lighted cigar on the highly polished surface of my dresser.
I was positive I had money matters between Ruthie and me all straightened out. Some stuff popped in my head just now that throws my calculations all out of kilter. Willie.
Uh-huh.
You're not busy. Skip out in the dining room and get me my pocketbook out of the top drawer of the buffet.
Okay. By George, this is an interesting story I'm reading.
Oh, it is.
Third Lieutenant Clinton Stanley among the counterfeit and left-handed natives of the Orange Sea, or how pluck and honesty won love, fame, and fortune. Where I'm reading now, it tells about how Third Lieutenant Stanley faced death by drowning and escaped through a secret tunnel.
Hop along after my pocketbook, Sonny.
Oh.
Darn it.
You said that.
No, but it makes a person tired. This trip I was bound and determined I'd keep track of my money. Kept a strict record in my head of exactly what I started out with, exactly what I spent, and exactly what I ended up with. But sitting here just now, a couple items popped in my noodle, and I'm confused as a horse.
I expect you're talking about a shopping expedition with Ruthie.
Yeah, you know how we always do.
Get confused.
Uh-huh. Lend each other cash during the course of the afternoon. Make purchases for each other. Buy articles for each other with the understanding the money is to be paid back later, and all this and that till we finally wind up without any notion of where we stand. But today I made a special effort to keep track. I kept tab on every single... Thanks, Willie.
Uh-huh. Gov want me to read you some exciting junk from my book?
I want to talk to Gov a minute.
Oh.
You got a pencil there handy?
You're darn right. I told her what was what that time. Hey, Dog Harness?
Well, take your pencil and a piece of paper and let's itemize this business step by step.
You know, of course, you interrupted my game of solitaire.
According to my figures, when I got home this afternoon, Ruthie and I come out exactly even. I owed her nothing. She owed me nothing. But there's a monkey wrench in the machinery someplace. Let's track down the difficulty.
Didn't we go through all this same sort of thing before and end up more in the dark than when we started?
Yeah, but today I kept tabs. Should be very...
You bought a nice shirt and Ruthie paid for it. You and Ruthie each... You lent Ruthie a dime and Ruthie paid back a nickel of it. Ruthie got weighed on the weighing machine. The stranger paid on a penny.
Yeah, it is generally that mixed up. Kept tabs. All right, $4.67.
Okay.
$4.67 represents the amount of money I had in my pocketbook when I locked the house this afternoon and headed for downtown.
$4.67.
I have in my pocketbook now $1.14.
$1.14.
I'll count it again to make sure.
Gov, what does the word grandiloquent mean?
Horse.
You don't know, huh?
It means horse. Grandiloquent is derived from the Greek root grandma and the Portuguese idiom yobo fickle seep. Or, in English, I am ill in my tent. Combining the two...
All right, $1.14.
$1.14.
Subtract that from $4.67. The result will be exactly what I spent while I was with Ruthie. Now we'll know where we stand.
Ma'am, what does grandiloquent mean?
I'm busy, Willie.
The whole sense of the sentence I'm reading depends on this one word.
That's nice. You got that all subtracted accurate?
Got it all subtracted accurate.
What's the remainder?
$3.53.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
$3.53 represents the exact sum I spent while I was with Ruthie. Now, write down penny.
Penny.
Each of us bought a stick of gum in at the drugstore on the way downtown. We were on Market Street there, and we...
What's the matter?
Hey.
Huh?
Transaction took place in that darn drugstore I never kept a record of in my noodle. Ruthie bumped into Fred's boss's wife and paid her back a quarter she owed her, but only had a nickel and a dime in change, and I furnished the extra 10 cents.
Very well. So far, Ruthie's in debt to you.
Wait. That's all right. That's perfectly all right. She handed me back my 10 cents there in Kleeberger's. Or did she?
I really wouldn't be in a position to throw any considerable light on the subject, not having been present.
She handed me 10 cents, all right, but did that 10 cents represent the 10 cents she owed me from the drugstore transaction? Or the 10 cents she borrowed in at Hamilton's when we... No, because we were in Kleberger's before we were in Hamilton's. Let me think a minute.
Go ahead.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Let me think a minute.
Gov,
Hey.
Third Lieutenant Stanley is bound and gagged. Can't move his legs. Can't move his arms. All he can do is flex his muscles. What do you think he does?
Buys a ticket for Dubuque, Iowa.
He gets Lady Margaret to put a bullet on his arm. Then he flexes his arm muscle real quick, and that bullet shoots across the river and kills a counterfeit and left-handed native of the Orange Sea. And then, by George, he
All
goes to
right,
work.
Vic, I got it all straight in my noodle. You wrote down penny.
Certainly did.
Write down dime.
Dime.
I spent a dime in at Empson's for shoelaces. Empson's was the second place we stopped at. Third place we stopped at was Kleberger's. Ruthie bought garters for Fred. She paid for 'em out of her own pocketbook, and there wasn't any other transaction.
I seem to recollect you saying a moment ago Ruthie paid you 10 cents in the Klebergers.
Well, she did, but we don't have to bother with that. See, it all cancels out correct. She borrowed the 10 cents in at the drugstore and paid me back in at Kleberger's. It cancels out in apple pie order. Now, the Hamiltons. Here's where we're going to find the monkey wrench in the machinery. Write down $1.
Gov, did you ever hear of anybody so strong they could lift a gunny sack full of gold? And
We're
at the same-
occupied here. Will he save that till later?
Oh.
Write down $1.
I've already done so.
$1 represents what I paid for my wash racks. Write down 3 cents and market money I owe Ruthie. Because I bought a package of hairpins. Oh, wait a minute, I better keep this in order. I bought thread before I bought hairpins. I bought a spool of white thread number 50, price 5 cents. Hey, Ruthie's got that thread.
Is she?
Sure she has. I made my purchase, and while the clerk was wrapping it up, I stepped over to say hello to Miss Wilton there in the underwear, and Ruthie stayed to get my thread and put it in her pocketbook and forgot to give it back. Well, that don't need to change our figures, though. She will give it back. All right, now. I bought 15 cents worth of candy for Ruthie, and Ruthie bought a 25-cent box of fancy-headed pins for me.
Oh, Sandy, kiddo. Well, you girls go shopping. Why don't you keep your purchases separate? No wonder you get yourselves in the labyrinth of high finance and
Well, the candy and pins is simple. I got a record of it tucked away in my noodle. Here's what happened. I run up to the 4th floor in Hamilton's to look at dress material. Ruthie stayed downstairs. While she was looking over the stuff at the different counters, she found these pretty boxes of fancy-headed pins on sale and bought some for herself and me, too. Well, a little later on... Oh, say, Miss Kreider.
What about her?
She enters the picture at this point. She bumped into Ruthie while I was on the 4th floor and asked her to contribute to some church business or other. Ruthie give her a quarter for the two of us. Makes me owe Ruthie 12.5 cents, see?
Oh,
Sure. Well, when I got back downstairs, Ruthie told me about the contribution, and I dug in my purse after what I owed her, but only had 9 cents in change. So what's 9 from 12.5? 3?
3.5.
Well, ish on half. We can forget the half.
Let's do.
Now, where were we?
The slightest idea.
Oh, the candy. I bought Ruthie 15 cents worth of candy, and she paid me right off the bat. Paid me 16 cents.
Why'd she do that?
Let's see, why did she? She gave me an extra penny. What was that extra penny for?
Maybe to send some deserving boy to college.
I don't know. I don't know where I stand. Maybe Ruthie owes me money. Maybe I owe Ruthie money. I don't know. It's all a rotten muddle. Darn it. Brush. Wipe off your face. Chocolate or something on your chin. Darn it.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block. Well, sir, Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook and young Mr. Rush Gook are assembled in the living room as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. Supper has been over about half an hour, and our friends have settled themselves for a quiet evening at home. Sade is concluding an anecdote. Listen.
She got the point for once. Tittered like a horse. Ruthie don't generally catch on to jokes. She's smart in her own way, but little funny trash who she slips right past her. This afternoon, though, she grasped the point and just mourned, laughed away.
You're in an amiable mood tonight, kiddo.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm not always in an amiable mood.
Well, occasionally your sweet disposition wears a patina of vexation or impatience.
Person's only human, of course.
Very true.
Mildred Tisdale tries to give the American public the impression she's happy at all times. Regular little sunbeam. And yet I've witnessed her quivering with rage.
Since you're in such a jolly spirit, Dr. Sleech, I feel disposed to bring up a matter which ordinarily I would hesitate to broach.
Yeah?
One of those things which commonly prompt you to send your undershirt to Detroit, Michigan, parcel post.
Really? Well, if I'm in jolly spirits, why don't you let me stay in jolly spirits? Why whip out stuff to upset me?
There's no reason for you to be upset. What I have up my sleeve is trivial in the extreme.
You people might be fascinated by a story Smelly Clark's Uncle Strap tells on himself in that connection.
It's altogether possible. However, I wonder if you'd grant Papa the floor 5 minutes.
Not at all.
To break the ice at one fell swoop, Sadie, Hank got stuff.
Oh, my. Money?
A ridiculously trifling amount.
There goes my jolly spirits.
Hang on to your jolly spirits just 3 seconds more. You'll see that there's no cause for alarm.
What's eating Hank this trip? $5, $10, $20?
$1. Tomorrow morning at 7:30 o'clock, the telephone will ring, and it'll be Hank got stuff. The following morning at 7:30 o'clock, and every morning thereafter, except Sunday morning, the telephone will ring at 7:30, and it'll be Hank got stuff.
Go ahead.
May I interrupt at this point, God?
No. Kiddo, I'm not going to expatiate on Hank's energy and resourcefulness. We've discussed the matter before without getting any place. I'll content myself by merely saying that Hank has hit upon a rather neat idea.
He's going to sell fish?
He's going to sell no fish.
Coleslaw? Candy? Christmas cards? Pie? Cut glass? What?
He is going to sell a service.
Really?
A useful service. A worthwhile service. I've subscribed for a fee of $1 per month.
There goes another $1 per month out the window. We're getting $1 per month to death. People around here seem to have the notion $1 per month grows on trees.
May I explain Hank's service?
Sure.
You people sitting around discussing this, that, and other thing puts me in mind of a little...
Please, Rush. Every day at 7:30 o'clock, Hank will call up here with a brave, bright, enthusiastic, "Good morning."
Will he indeed?
His manly, hearty voice will ring out clear and invigorating.
Oh, boy, grand. Say, that is a service. That's a wonderful service. Only $1 a month for that service? He's working too cheap. Why not $5 a month? 10?
Where those jolly spirits disappeared to?
I wonder.
You didn't let me finish what I started to say.
Go ahead and finish.
Hank will telephone us daily at 7:30 o'clock.
And bid us good morning. Beautiful, beautiful. And you'll do it for $1? Say, there is a bargain.
Please, Sadie, may I finish?
Do.
He'll say, "Good morning, topcoat weather," or "Good morning, overcoat weather," or "Good morning, short sleeve weather."
Whee.
Do you grasp the point?
No.
I do.
What is the point, my boy?
Weather report. Hank will slap us out the weather report every day.
That, or that in substance, is correct. Sadie, at this season of the year, when the weather's absolutely unpredictable, how many times am I at a loss as to what clothes to put on? After breakfast, when I'm about to leave for the office, I never know if I ought to put on a top coat, an overcoat, or what. How many times have I quit the house and returned a few minutes later for a change of apparel? I'll put on a top coat, go outdoors, and discover it's too cold for a top coat. Or I'll put on an overcoat, go outdoors, and discover it's too warm for an overcoat. It's a very annoying thing. And the situation is with us clear up until the month of June. Well, Hank Gutstopp's brainy little idea does away with that situation. We don't know whether it's cold or warm outdoors when we get out of bed and come downstairs. We're completely in the dark. It's a hit-or-miss proposition. Hank solves our problem. "Good morning, topcoat weather." Armed with this accurate information, I don my top coat and I leave for the office, happy in the knowledge no mistake has been made.
Say, not bad.
You feel as I do that the enterprise has merit, Rush?
Why, sure. Take me just yesterday.
Yes?
After breakfast, I got ready for school and put on a sweater, a jacket, and my coat. Got up the alley as far as Kelsey Street and like to cook. Come home and remove both my sweater and my jacket.
A typical case, and one that has been my own experience occasions without number.
Good morning. Sweater weather, huh?
Or good morning. Heavy overcoat weather.
If it happens to be raining, he can say, good morning, umbrella weather.
If it were raining, I think we could ascertain the fact ourselves without aid, merely by glancing out the window.
Well, I'm not so sure. Good many days I crawl out of bed so sleepy I don't know what's going on. If there happened to be a typhoon raging outdoors, Hank could say, good morning, cyclone cellar weather. If the temperature happened to be 69 degrees below zero and snow drifts 48 feet high and the wind velocity 311 miles an hour, Hank could say, good morning, stay in bed weather.
You joke, don't you, Rush? The matter is not a humorous one, I think. How are those jolly spirits, eh?
Oh, fine.
Wasn't as bad as you anticipated, huh?
No.
I think we must commend Hank on his ingenuity. His idea exemplifies sound thought. I've said, and Rush here agrees with me, that he has a real service to offer.
You already paid him $1?
I have.
Anybody else paid him $1?
Hank tells me he has numerous clients lined up. See, the possibilities are enormous. Hundreds and hundreds of men in this city are interested in what clothes to wear to work these uncertain spring days.
They not only receive information for their money, but they also get the benefit of a fine, big, hearty good morning from Hank.
You continue to joke?
No.
Hank name anybody he had lined up?
Sure.
Who?
Steve Chestbutter, Y.I.I.Y. Skeeber, Charlie Razorscum, Alf Musherton, Ike Kneesuffer. A whole swarm.
Have they all slopped out their $1?
I really couldn't say.
Bet they haven't.
What leads you to that surmise?
It's so childish and silly.
Is it?
Sure.
Huh?
Good morning, topcoat weather. Good morning, swimming suit weather. Now, who's going to give anybody $1 for that? I'll tell you how cold it is or how warm it is myself, just by sticking my head out the kitchen door. And I won't charge you any money for it either.
Rush, my boy.
Uh-huh.
Would you care to play me a game of rummy?
Sure.
When's this business begin?
I beg pardon?
When's Hank going to start his telephoning?
The service begins tomorrow morning.
Oh, it does it? Well, let me tell you something you haven't thought about yet.
Of course, Sadie.
Who's downstairs at 7:30 o'clock in the morning?
I greatly fear I'm not quite sure as to the...
I'm downstairs at 7:30 o'clock in the morning. Me and nobody else. You and Willie are both still upstairs.
I expect...
Means I have to be bothered with old Hank. I have to stop in the middle of getting breakfast and listen to him. Grand way to start off my day, And every day, too. Every day of my life except Sunday. Every day of my life except Sunday, I have to march to the darn telephone and listen to that man tell me to wear my overcoat.
No doubt.
And $1 a month that costs us.
Sadie, may
No.
I? No what?
Just no.
Where you going?
Bedroom.
Retire this early?
Taking my newspaper, gonna read a while.
Do you really think this little affair justifies heartbreak and misery?
There's no heartbreak and misery. Just going upstairs is all.
Play rummy?
Okay.
Good morning.
Huh?
Good morning, coat, pants, and vest weather.
Oh.
Good morning, earmuffs, spats, and chest protector weather. Good morning. Extra socks, 2 undershirts, and 11...
That's enough, Louise. Wish to hear no further reference to this matter. Where are the cards?
Right here.
Well, take them out. Just don't sit there.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block.
Well, sir, it's about 3:30 o'clock as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here in the living room, we find Mr. Victor Gook and his son, Mr. Rush Gook. The former is established at the library table doing a spot of office work at home, while the latter, who has just this moment arrived home from school, stands beside the Davenport, removing his overcoat. Listen.
Busy there, Gov?
Not especially. I'm over the hump. Got the wrinkles ironed out of these invoices. Now all I have to do is copy off my figures neatly on a clean piece of paper.
Is Mom upstairs?
Mom stepped across the alley a few minutes ago to help Ma Razorscum sew on the dress. Said she'd probably remain until time to fix supper.
Then we can talk.
Sure thing. Drop a chair. What's on your mind?
The interest on my money.
Come over that again, Lump.
Gov, I was sitting in English class this afternoon, kind of looking out the window and daydreaming, and a thought hit me. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Why, it was like a blinding flash of light. Yes, sir, this thought I had was like a blinding flash of light. The interest on my money.
What about the interest on your money?
I never realized before my money was earning interest. The notion just never entered my head. Entered my head this afternoon like a blinding flash of light. Yeah.
When I was gold digging in the Klondike, 56 years ago this coming June, I used to whip out my trusty old banjo and sing sweet melodies.
If you just as soon put comical jokes off to one side, I'd like to have a confidential chat with you before Mom comes home.
The comical jokes are off to one side. Proceed.
I've got money in the bank. I've had money in the bank for years and years, and that money has been accumulating interest. Like I say, I never realized that interest was accumulating until this afternoon in English class, when the thought hit me like a blinding flash of light. I think I ought to have that interest. I'm stony broke, haven't got a nickel to my name, and I'm in debt. I owe Leland Richards 8 cents. I owe Smelly Clark a dime. I owe Russell Duncan 3 packages of chewing gum. I owe the Greek downtown a quarter.
Do you ever charge account of the Greeks?
Once in a while he'll put an item on the cuff. And there's stuff I want to buy. 11 separate and distinct articles I'm very anxious to have in my possession. If I could go down to the bank and draw out the interest my savings have accumulated, I'd probably be in a position to pay off all my debts, purchase the junk I want, and also have a tidy little sum left over. Don't you think I ought to have that interest?
The matter is hardly in my department, Louise. Your mother's the party.
Well, let's leave Mom out of the discussion a minute. How much money have I got in the bank?
Well, don't you know?
Haven't the slightest idea. I haven't seen my bank book since I was 7 years old.
Well, doesn't your mother keep you posted?
No. She deposits the cash, handles the entire business, and keeps mum. When I ask her about my savings account, she tells me not to bother my head about it. Tells me I'll get a grand, wonderful surprise when I'm age 21, and she reveals what I'm worth.
Maybe that's not a bad idea.
Well, it's a good idea. I'm not beefing about the idea. Mom's okay. And I'm willing to accept any arrangement she feels like making. Naturally, she'd rather I didn't trot down to the bank and draw out money every time I felt like it. That's fine with me. Let my savings account remain undisturbed. Good. Great. Dandy.
Well, then, what do you...
It's the interest. I want the interest. The money that's been deposited won't change. That stays like it is. But I want the interest. Don't you think I ought to have the interest?
I think you'd better consult your mother on the subject.
Well, she'll get consulted in good time. And that's where I want your cooperation.
Hey, now, I don't want to get dragged into any...
I must have close to $200 in that savings account of mine.
You need some.
Yes, it is. And I don't want to disturb it. Leave it lay in the bank. Mom's right. It'll be a grand, wonderful surprise when I'm age 21.
Well, I suggest
But
that.
the interest, Gov, the interest. That's gravy. If I go down and draw out the interest, my savings account will be the same as ever. Who can kick about that? And I'm entitled to the interest. Don't you think I'm entitled to the interest?
I wish you wouldn't ply me with blunt questions, demanding answers which later I might find embarrassing.
I sat there in English class. My mind was wandering. And all of a sudden, this idea hit me like a blinding flash of light. I almost talked out loud. I sat up in my seat like a jumping jack. The interest on my money, I muttered. The interest on my money. Teacher, Miss Sutton, glanced at me in surprise.
I advise you to take this matter up with your mother.
All right. Now I'm ready to include my mother in the discussion. To begin with, Mom wouldn't any more let me tell my story than a rabbit. As soon as I mention savings account, she screams like a panther. You know that's true. Isn't that true? Are you saying yes or no?
Listen, Harriet, I don't propose to be drawn into any conspiracy.
There don't need to be any conspiracy.
Sounds to me very much like you're trying to inveigle me into...
Not at all. Now, here's the thing in a nutshell. Instead of me bringing this matter to Mom's attention, you do it.
Wait a minute now.
Suppose after supper tonight, I casually said to Mom, Mom, I wouldn't disturb my bank account for anything in the world, but I was thinking I could certainly use the interest that's been accumulating all these years. Suppose I said that. Why, as soon as I got the words bank account out of my mouth, she'd yell bloody murder. Am I right? Answer yes or no.
Oh, Mom, of course, has your best interest at heart, and naturally...
I appreciate all that. Sure, she's got my best interest at heart.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I want you to help me get the idea across to Mom that the interest on the money I've got in the bank can be drawn out without interfering with the main savings account.
Well, as you point out, Mom is extremely ticklish when it comes to...
Sure she is. That's what I say.
Well, what exactly is...
We'll have a little chat after supper this evening, you and me. We'll play a game of rummy here on the library table and carry on a conversation, especially for Mom's benefit. She won't realize what we're doing. Understand? We'll bring out all the various points, get the angle, and pretty quick she'll have the whole thing clear in her mind. Like this. Hello, Gov.
Oh, yes.
A game of rummy?
Okay.
All right. We're all sat down and dealing out the tickets. Well, discarding the ace of diamonds, eh? I'll just take that ace of diamonds, by George.
Oh.
Been a dandy day today.
Yeah.
Now you bring up the business about the interest.
Interest?
Ask me, easy and casual, if I don't think a lot of interest has accumulated on my savings account.
Don't you think a lot of interest is accumulated on your savings account?
Not out of a clear sky. Mom would smell a mouse. Say, by the way, Rush, I was just thinking. Don't you imagine a lot of interest has accumulated on your savings account?
By the way, Rush, I was just thinking. Don't you imagine a lot of interest has accumulated on your savings account?
Why, Gov, I'm glad you mentioned that. Same idea occurred to me this afternoon. Must be a considerable amount of interest down there in the bank. The wonderful thing about interest, you know, Gov, is that you can draw it out without disturbing the amount of money you've got on deposit. About this point, Mom will start pricking up her ears. Yes, sir, Gov. That's the wonderful thing about interest. Draw it out, and your bank book continues to read the same as it ever did. Just so happens that at the present moment, Gov, I find myself flat broke. So I believe first thing in the morning I'll step down to the bank and draw out my interest.
That's the point where your mother will hop up and jump down your collar with both feet.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Oh, sure.
You take the initiative. You do the talking. I'll keep quiet.
Close closet. I hate to throw cold water, but I greatly fear your cause is lost from the very beginning. Don't you agree?
I suppose.
Your savings account is in pretty capable hands. Your mother knows pretty much what she's doing. I suggest you leave things as they are.
I did get hit by that thought this afternoon, though. It was like a blinding flash of light.
How much cash do you require for your present needs, commitments, and obligations?
Well, I owe Leland Richards 8 cents and Smelly Clark a dime.
18 cents.
Russell Duncan 3 packages of chewing gum, 15 cents.
33 cents.
Greek a quarter.
58 cents. That all?
That's all I'm in debt.
You mentioned some articles you wish to acquire. What were their purchases, Renya?
Around $2.50.
$3.50 then, and bring you triumphantly out of the woods, eh?
Oh, boy.
Tell you what I'm going to do with you, meat grinder.
I'm
going to slip you a 5-spot.
Really?
A crisp new $5 note. You've been on the up and up with me, and I'm disposed to play ball with you. Here, with my compliments.
Gee whiz.
Spend it wisely and make it last as long as possible.
You're okay, Governor. No mistake.
Thanks. Now beat it. I wasted enough time. Got this work to finish. Have I, Doctor? What you want to do? Shake hands? Okay. Put it there.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up on the next block. Well, sir, the evening meal has been over only a little while as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here in the living room we find Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook, equitably dividing sections of the newspaper. Vic has just made a casual observation which his wife apparently finds upsetting. For we hear her say,
"Why didn't you tell me before?"
I saw no particular necessity for it. Matter of fact, I considered it such a trivial matter it slipped my mind. I knew we weren't going to the picture show tonight. I knew we weren't playing cards with Fred and Lucy.
Oh, a whole batch of company coming, and you don't even mention it to your wife.
Since when have Steve Chessbutter and A.J. Spence been company?
Well, no, but just the same. How long do you suppose they'll stay?
Oh, an hour and a half. It's a lodge committee meeting, see. I don't imagine it'll require more than an hour and a half on the outside to wind up what we have to do.
I think you're getting forgetful in your old age.
The same shoe fits your foot, don't it? You never said anything about Miss Brighton and Willard dropping in tonight.
I figured the same way you did. I knew we weren't going to the moving picture show. Knew we weren't going to play any 500.
Well, the situation doesn't seem to have any disastrous angles.
When your lodge fellas coming?
7:30, quarter day.
That's when Miss Brighton and Willard said they'd probably stop by.
Uh-huh.
I suppose you'll take your company out in the kitchen,
Well, we'll want privacy, of course. After all, we're working on lodge stuff. Chestbutter and Spence aren't paying any social call.
They might feel like they're getting the dirty end of the stick getting shoved out in the kitchen.
Oh, no. Chestbutter and Spence are good fellas. Common as old shoes. They'd be just as happy if I took them down cellar. The telephone's ringing.
It'd be comical if Fred didn't have to put in overtime at the foundry after all, wouldn't it? And they want to come play cards?
Oh, I imagine one of Rush's pals. Generally is.
Hello? Oh, yes, Miss Donahue. No, all through and got my dishes washed and wiping in the pantry. Not at all. Oh, really? Uh-huh. Oh, that's too bad. Uh-huh. Why, sure. Sure. No. Oh, of course. Send him over. No, he can waltz right upstairs and lie down in Rush's bed. Sure. All right, fine. Fine, Miss Donahue. All righty. Goodbye.
Brother Donahue paying us a visit?
Yes, her sister and kids from Pontiac been visiting today, and sister's got a headache and don't feel like driving home, so they're going to stay all night. The two oldest kids' bedtime ain't until 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and Mr. Donahue's got a Kansas City freight drag at 11, and he just come in off on a freight drag at 6, so he wants to catch a little sleep.
I hear some interloper in the kitchen.
I said he was welcome to come lay down on Rush's bed and nap.
Sadie!
I'm always glad to do the...
Hey! Hello, Vic.
Well,
We got still more guests.
come on in, Uncle Fletcher.
I was afraid I might bust in on you while you was eating supper.
Oh, finished supper long ago.
Right. Saw Rush out in front just now.
Did you?
Uh-huh. Evening, Vic.
Evening, sir. You look healthy, hearty, happy, and handsome.
Yes, I do. Hope you don't mind me coming in the back door without knocking, Sadie.
Of course not. You're not company.
No, I'm not company or anybody, but I likes to give warning before he busts in on people. The way I figure, though, is if I did knock on the back door, you'd have to get up and walk all the way out in the kitchen and let me in.
Sure.
Take a chair, Uncle Fletcher.
Thanks. Staying home this evening, are you?
Uh-huh.
Fine.
Miss Brighton and Willard are dropping past after a bit for a little visit, and Vic's got a couple of men from the lodge coming by.
Company, huh?
Oh, not really. Miss Brighton and Willard are old, comfortable, easy friends, and Vic's callers are just looking in to talk over lodge business a while.
Hope I haven't gone to work and put my foot in it.
Why?
Well, I'll tell you. Maybe I took too much on myself. My landlady's married daughter and her man were at our house for supper this evening. You haven't met him, I guess, Sadie.
No. Heard you talk about him considerable, though. Mr. and Miss Upscotch?
Yes, Everett and Florence. They're at our house for supper tonight, and we all got talking. Florence said she'd like to
Another
meet.
interloper in the kitchen, kiddo. Excuse me, Uncle Fletcher.
Mr. Donahue. Yes.
Just me, Mom.
All right.
Uncle Fletcher's in here, George.
Yes, I met him outside. Join you in just a minute.
He's a good boy.
Where'd you put the box of graham crackers, Mom?
What?
Where'd you put the box of graham crackers?
You're not eating already.
No, just wondering where the graham crackers are.
He only just finished supper half an hour ago.
He's a good boy. Rush is all right.
What'd you start to say about Miss Keller's daughter and her man?
I hope I never took too much on myself.
Why?
Well, we were having supper talking about different junk. Florence said she'd like to meet my niece I bragged so much about, and Abbott said he would too. And I guess I told tales out of school because I...
Invited him over.
Beg pardon, Vic?
I finished your sentence for you.
Fine.
I said you invited your landlady's kids over.
That's exactly what I done. You see, Everett and Florence come right up Virginia Avenue here on their way home, and I said, I bet you people be pleased if they dropped in a minute. Oh, hello, Rush. You're the same fellow I said hello to out in front a minute ago, ain't you?
Yep.
Fine. No, Sadie, we were all sitting around the supper table there, and Florence says, I'd like to meet your niece Sadie and her family you talk so much about.
Well, they're welcome as can be.
And I said, well, I'll bet they'd like to meet you and Abbott.
Sure.
I said, you go right past Vic and Sadie's house there on Virginia Avenue. Why don't you stop in on your way home?
Well, you told them exactly right.
You people got other company, though.
More the merrier.
Fine.
Mom, I couldn't find that box of graham crackers.
Are you telling me you're hungry?
They're for the kids after a while.
No, Florence and Abbott been here to be talked so much
kids?
about.
Excuse me, Uncle Fletcher.
Fine.
What kids?
Bluetooth and Leland and Vernon. Don't you remember telling me?
Oh, my.
What new complication is this?
I give him permission to invite kids in to study algebra.
Bluetooth Johnson, Leland Richards, and Vernon Pagels.
Bluetooth, Leland, and Vernon are good boys. Bluetooth, Leland, and Vernon are all right.
Oh, Mr. Donahue's coming over to take a nap in your bed.
Yeah?
He can't do any sleeping with you four roustabouts up there.
I give him our bed, say.
He generally balks at using our bed. Figures he's making more housework and stuff for me if he uses the big bedroom.
Well, what alternative is there?
None that I can think of. I'd forgot all about them three boys coming to study algebra.
No, Sadie, we were sitting around the supper table there, and I was telling Florence and Abbott about...
Well, you've done exactly right. We'll enjoy meeting Mr. and Ms. Upscotch.
Uh-huh.
Rush, with Mr. Donahue upstairs, you kids will have to be quiet.
Okay.
I mean that now. No roughhousing, no wrestling matches, no seeing who can twist the other one's leg around somebody.
Telephone is
Okay, that's...
Probably Smelly Clark wanting to join the algebra gang.
Spelly's a good boy.
Hello? Oh, yes, Fred.
Hey.
Oh, well, Fred, I don't guess we can play any 500 this evening. It just so happens... What? Oh, I see. Well, mercy, in that case, you come too. Sure. All right, Fred. All right. Goodbye.
Don't tell me our lonely evening is to be brightened up with company.
Oh, Fred found out he didn't have to put in overtime at the foundry, and Ruthie was over at Evan's house, and he got in touch with her there and told her he'd meet her here. She's already on her way.
Hey.
Oh, as long as she was coming, I said he might as well come. Well, we got company this evening, Uncle Fletcher.
Fine.
Let's name over our company.
All right. Steve Chesbutter and A.J. Spence in the kitchen.
Vernon Pagels, Leland Richards, and Bluetooth Johnson in my bedroom.
Pa Donahue in our bedroom.
Miss Brighton and Willard, Mr. and Miss Upscotch, Fred and Ruthie, and Uncle Fletcher down here.
Makes 13 guests all told.
And counting the three of us, it makes a grand total of 16 people in the house.
Well, like Uncle Fletcher says, fine.
Beg pardon, Sadie?
I say fine.
Fine.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block. Well, sir, Mr. Victor Gook and his son, Mr. Rush Gook, are in the kitchen seated at the supper table as we enter the small house halfway up the next block now. Mrs. Victor Gook is not in evidence. And young Rush, who has just descended from above stairs, is saying,
Where's Mom at?
She stepped across the alley to borrow a chunk of butter from Ma Harris. If you hadn't been upstairs asleep, you could have done.
I wasn't asleep. I was learning algebra definitions.
Your mother hollered.
I had my bedroom door closed. Never heard her. Say, my brains get sharper every day. You know what? I memorized 3 definitions in 25 minutes flat. Closed my eyes, cudgeled my cerebrum, my cerebellum, and my medulla oblongata.
Shall we not interfere with the raisin bread? We have a lady dining with us. In polite circles of society, half-wits do not help themselves to food until everyone's at the table.
Who's the lady?
Mama.
Oh.
So quit flirting with the raisin bread till she returns.
I'm starved.
So am I. but I'm also a person of breeding. You're apparently a...
Hey, here's mine. Greetings there.
Greetings. Haven't started to eat yet, have you?
No.
Good thing. We're going to eat supper at Miss Harris's.
What's this, Dr. Sleep?
It's Mr. Breep's birthday, and he gave Miss Harris money to cook up a big, special, fancy meal. Invited the other roomers to help eat it. Stuff happened so nobody could show up. We've been asked to come over. Miss Harris has got food by the bushel.
And we got food by the bushel ourselves. In fact, it's right here in front of me in tantalizing array. I'm about to flourish my knife.
I
and
said
fork.
we'd be happy to accept the invitation. And she's got stylish eats. Big, grand, lovely steak. Mr. Croucher had to order special. Hot biscuits, Rush. Ice cream, too.
I've got a streak of fun in my makeup. You can notify Miss Harris. I'll only be too
Jump
pleased.
up, Mr. Vic. Got to make yourself presentable.
Presentable?
She's got the supper table set in the dining room. We're not going to come slouching in with baggy pants on and whiskers.
You're not suggesting that I shave.
Certainly am.
Who's going to be on deck besides Miss Harris?
Mr. Sludge.
I have to dress up for him? Well, holy smoke.
I said we'd be there in 10 minutes. Let's not have monstrous big discussions and trash. Willie, you got to doll up a little, too. Shinny out of that sweater and get a coat.
Hey, I don't need any shave. My face is smooth as velvet. My face
I
is
told
just...
her 10 minutes. She's all ready to take the things off from the stove.
Inspect my face once. If you can locate any rough stubble of beard, I'll...
All right, leave your face slide. But you do have to change your trousers. You got shoes on?
I'm wearing the half-wit easy slippers Bess and Walter sent me with the tassels hanging down the sides and the Indian head on the toes and the tin beads that loop around the back of my
It's awful
ankle.
sweet of you to take up valuable time telling me what your easy slippers look like, but not at all necessary. I appreciate what they look like. Probably I picked them up and set them in your clothes closet 46,000 different mornings. Will you wear shoes?
The poor lug gets all set down to enjoy his evening meal. He's even got his knife and fork poised. The gastric juices have commenced to flow. His eye is bright and his heart is full. And just as he reaches for his first succulent morsel of food, it is snatched from him
She's
like
going to have
smoke.
extra fancy, big, thick steaks. The kind you're always asking me to buy. And the tasty trimmings that go along. It'll be a real treat. Miss Harris was lovely to invite us.
She just wants her stuff ed up.
Oh, my.
Well, she did ask us as a favor, didn't she? You said her lame-brained rumor brief give her money to dish up a Tony feed.
You really want to carry on a long conversation?
I want to get out of a lot of dressing and undressing and combing and washing and shaving.
Willie, walk upstairs and bring down your father's brown suit and his shoes. Skin out of that sweater and slip on a coat. Let's see your shirt.
Not a spot on it. Clean as a horse. I put it on
All right,
first.
scoot.
Is Miss Harris going to have them trick mashed potatoes where they look like greens of rice and you
Just
slice...
scoot. Vic, will you get up?
Feel my face.
What?
Feel my face. If your fingers come in contact with one single
You don't
whisker...
have to shave. I told you didn't have to shave. Haven't got time to shave. What I want you to do is help me here.
What suit of guys did you say, Mom?
Help you what?
Help me clear away our own supper here. We can't go... Oh, what?
Did you say bring down Guy's brown suit?
Yeah. We can't leave this
The
supper...
brown with the pinstripe or the brown one with the...
Brown one with the pinstripe.
Okay.
And you just stand there.
As yet, Sadie, you haven't mentioned
We've got
what
to clear
you...
away our own supper.
Why?
Would you just leave it?
I suppose there are legal statutes by the bylaws of the state of Illinois which prohibit any such horrible procedure, but
Put
at the
these
same
knives and
time...
forks in the drawer. Stack up the plates. I'll be putting the meat back in the pan. You can have it tomorrow, and the potatoes, too. Take the raisin bread and put it in the bread box. I don't see why there needs to be such a commotion.
If you'll reflect 3 seconds, I'm sure you'll agree with me when I point out you're raising the commotion. I myself...
Going across the alley to eat a bite of supper. Is that any reason for enormous big fuss and feathers?
An innocent passerby happening to overhear our feverish...
Will you
colloquy
put the
with-
raisin bread back in the bread box? 10 minutes, I told her, Vic. 10 rotten, measly little minutes. We stand here letting them slide by.
Oh, let's not stand here. Let's go.
You'd waltz into Miss Harris's living room for an extra special company feed, huh? In easy slippers and baggy pants. Mr. Sludge is decked out like an electric light. Checkered afternoon trousers and little black coat with velvet lapels. Hurry along, will you?
I'm about to die of starvation.
Well, so's everybody. Let's step along brisk and do what we have to do. To doll yourself up presentable.
I took off my sweater and put on a coat like you said. I never changed
All
my
right, give your
shirt.
father his things. You can be helping me clear the table. You'll play ball, won't you?
I'll gladly play ball.
Fine. Start piling up the plates, Willie.
Resembles a hollow mockery. Don't have to set the table for supper and then start to clear it off again without eating nothing?
Yeah, knives and forks go in the drawer.
What happened to Mr. Breep he can't put on the feed bag?
He's down at the city hall. Mr. Cameron's in trouble.
Yeah? What'd Mr. Cameron do?
Somebody accused him of stealing the brass ornaments out in front of the public library.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Breep's a real nice fella. He's down trying to get Mr. Cameron out of his fix.
Gee whiz.
Too bad all around. Mr. Breep's birthday, and he gives his landlady money to cook up a big fancy supper. And one of his fellow roomers gets in Dutch with the police. He feels like he ought to do what he can to help. Supper gets cooked and nobody to eat it. Fold the napkins nice, Willie. Skedaddle them back in their original creases. How are you getting along?
Excellent.
You're just sitting there.
After one leans over to lace his shoes, one's head is filled with blood, and a certain dizziness ensues, which makes it advisable to sit quiet a few minutes and relax in order to...
Minutes are just racing by, and I said we'd be right over.
I am a man, Sadie. I'm not an electric dynamo.
Please slip on your trousers. Pick up the olives and watermelon pickles, son.
Okay. Mr. Cameron accused of swiping the public library's brass ornaments, huh? What was he supposed to have done with them?
Sold them to the junk man.
The master criminal, that guy.
He certainly ruined Mr. Breep's lovely birthday dinner.
Well, table's all unset.
I have on my trousers, Sadie.
Ready to trot?
I have yet to button my coat.
Well, let's be on our way. Oh, run another room and turn out the lights and see if the front door's locked. I think maybe you better check.
Telephone is good. Telephone is good.
It would be ringing.
Very possibly Bluetooth Johnson.
We'll see, and if it is, cut him off short.
Could conceivably be Rooster Davis.
Straighten your necktie, Vic.
I wouldn't put it past Leland Richards or Russell Duncan or Leroy Snowden.
Answer that.
My necktie is now straightened. My necktie is now straightened, and I'm very hungry.
Oh? Yes, I believe she is. 1 second.
Miss Denbottom?
No. It's a lady, but she spoke so rapid I was unable to identify.
One side.
I'm not too happy. I feel that hunger and fatigue have taken a heavy
Yes?
toll, and I'm...
Oh, yes. Hey, I'll bet you wonder what on earth is keeping us. What, Miss Harris? Oh, really? Uh-huh. Why, how nice. How nice. Yes, indeed. Oh, us? Oh, not at all. Don't you fret about us, Miss Harris. No, sirree, sir, not at all. You go right ahead. Sure. I'll bet you do. Yes, I bet you do. All right, Miss Harris. All righty. Goodbye. Miss Harris.
Steak getting cold?
They let Mr. Cameron out of jail. Him and Mr. Breep just this minute got home.
Hey, we going over?
No.
We gonna eat here?
Yes.
Our table's all unset.
Uh-huh.
Our supper's all been put back in the pantry.
Mm-hmm.
Gov's got his clothes all changed.
Mm-hmm. Don't sit there staring at me, Vic. It's not my fault. I can't help it. Brush.
What?
We better start scaring up a bite to eat.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block.